Hello, it's Deborah from Attic Lane, and today I want to show you how I made 5 tags using a range of items from My Favourite Things and stamps from Cardio Cards. I've used a range of stamps and I'll take you through the ones that I've used in just a moment. These are the 5 tags that I made using a combination of stamps and different techniques. So in this stamp you can see there's a hill here, there's a couple of trees, and there are some branches, and I've added some red dots using one of the Nouveau drops. Hopefully you can see that. That gives that tag some colour. This one is more about the hills, layering the hills, the trees, shadow stamping the trees, and then there's some geese flying off into the distance. In this tag there are 2 hills, and I'm going to show you how to do this lantern effect, and there's also some glitter been added to those hills to make it look like there's snow. This tag is, again, it's about the hills and double and triple stamping of trees, and this tag combines quite a lot of techniques which I will show you, because I'm not going to show you how to make these individual tags. I'm going to show you the techniques that I used to make this collection of tags, and in this one I want to show you how to do this mirror effect in the water below the geese. You can see they're standing by a lakeside and this is their reflection in the water, and there is also the lantern with the light in the lantern as well. Now you can then take these tags, you can use these as gift tags on presents, or you can use them to make a card. So I've taken one of the tags here with 2 deer and some hills, some leafless trees in the background. I've added some little diamante sparkly things. I've die cut some snowflakes and I've added those. I've die cut the word joy and added it to the top of the tag, and around the top I've got a little bit of nice wire just looped through the hole in the top of the tag. The techniques I'm going to show you to make these tags are not my techniques. They've been devised by Wendy Gage at Cardio Cards. I would urge you to visit Cardio Cards. I'll provide a link at the bottom of this video, because Wendy has more of her techniques in the gallery section of her website, and her cards are truly beautiful, the stamps are beautiful, and you can create the most fantastic effects with very little equipment. Let's go and make that tag then. I'm going to be using this stencil from My Favourite Things, and this is called Drifts and Hills. If you don't have this stencil, all you would need to do is take a piece of paper and cut a shape, a rough hill shape like that. I'm also going to be using this double, this is called a 2 tag duo set, and there are 2 tags in this, and I've cut some tags out just from ordinary white card in preparation. The inks that I'm using are all Versacolour inks. These 2 will make the light in the lantern. This is Canary and this is Marigold. I've got Chateau Grey and Laurel Leaf and Polar Blue, and any of these can be used to create hills, or you can go around the top of the tag to make it look as if you have a little bit of sky in there. The Polar Blue obviously you can use to create a lake and then the reflection below the lake, and also I've got some black archival VersaFine ink. The stamps that I've used have all come from Cardio Cards. This one is called Home for Christmas, and it has trees and lots of people. There are some children jumping up and down there. There's a couple walking who've obviously been doing their Christmas shopping. They're carrying parcels. This is called Dear Deer, and it's a selection of deers in all different sizes. So you start with the large ones, there are mid-range, there are smaller ones there, and then a really tiny one if you want to put a deer just far into the background of your tag. This stamp set is called Mini Tall Trees, and as you can see it has tall trees in it and shorter trees in it, and you can make it look as if your trees are disappearing into the distance on your tag. This one is called Bells and Baubles, and I'm going to use a couple of stamps from this set in our tag. This one is called Branching Out. This one is called Christmas Tide, and you can see it has lanterns, it's got some really nice geese, it's got some deer, it's got some birds, it's got some geese flying in the distance. You can see you've got large geese, tiny geese, so they can look as if they're far away. I've got my tag ready, and I've got a piece of paper with a clean edge, and I'm going to place the clean edge like that, and I'm going to take my polar blue and a dry baby wipe. And one of the things that Wendy always advises you to do is rub off the excess, so that when you go to apply the ink directly onto your card, or in our case a tag, it's soft colour. You're not going to get a big blotch of colour because you've taken the excess off before you start. So that's the first application of ink, and now I'm going to put my piece of paper just over the top of that. I want to leave a really tiny white line. I've warped off the excess, and I'm just adding extra ink on the top there, and I'll smooth that down. So when I lift this away, there's a very thin white line, and that's the line that defines the land from the water. The first thing I'm going to show you is how to make a reflection. So I'm going to use black ink, and this stamp is one of the little deer stamps. I'll just show you that. There we go. And I'm going to position this just above the white line. There we go. And now I'm going to show you one way to make the reflection. The way that Wendy Gage does it is she will stamp onto a piece of plastic, maybe packaging plastic or something like that, and that's very effective. I found this way, this is bleed proof marker paper, and the ink sits on top of it just long enough for you to flip it over and ink onto the base, because all you want is a very faint image. You don't actually want a solid black image like we have there. So let's give this a go and see if it works. And again, you want this just below the line, about the same distance as the top piece, and just rub it on. And there we go. When you take the piece of paper away, there is a very faint reflection of the deer. So next I'm going to show you how to make a hill. I'll show you how useful this stencil is if you want to rub off the ink before you apply the ink to your image. So I'm going to take that as my shape, and you always work below the shape. So if I want a hill, I don't want to do this the other way up, because that would be an upside down hill. I've got some of my laurel leaf. I'm just going to smudge it off there and very gently just layer it underneath my stencil line. Just bring it down a little bit. You can see how soft that effect is. When I take this away, I've got a beautiful hill. If you had used a piece of paper, you'd do exactly what I'm going to do with the stencil. You just turn it over and use it to mask off your hill while you decide where you want to position the lantern. And I'm going to show you two things. I'm going to show you how to make the lantern look as if it's behind the hill, and I'm going to show you how to colour the light behind the lantern. So let's just get this lined up. If I want my lantern to go about there, that's fine, and I'm going to take my two lantern colours and my dry baby wipe. I'm going to start with the yellowy, the very strong yellow colour. I think this is a canary, and I'm going to rub off the excess, and by eye I'm just going to make sure I know exactly where I want to put that, and I'm just going to layer the colour down there, make a nice big round circle, and then I'm going to take the orange, I'm going to get rid of the excess, and I'm going to pop that in the middle. That gives it a lovely warm orange glow. And again, this is a technique I've seen Wendy Gage do. I didn't invent this, she's the genius. I'm just going to check that is absolutely right, and it is. So I've masked off my hill, and I'm going to take my black ink and I'm going to ink up my lantern. Just going to double check that's still masked off, and I'm going to position the lantern top on that glow. And when I take my mask away, you can see it looks as if the lantern is hidden behind the hill. The final technique I'm going to show you is how to make those tiny little trees look as if they're in the distance. I'm masking off the second part of my hill here, and I'm going to take one of the little trees, I'm going to ink it up, and I'm going to stamp it several times, moving it a little bit each time. And then when I take this away, it looks as if there's a little forest on the horizon. The last thing I'm going to show you is how to use these rather nice baubles. And I'm not going to use the big one because we don't have a lot of space left on our tag. This is particularly crowded because I'm trying to show you all sorts of techniques on one tag. So let me just put in my branch. We're going to do the same thing with the branches we did with the trees, and we're going to stamp it several times. And I'm just wondering where I'm going to put my little bauble. I haven't left myself a lot of space, but I'm going to use black ink again, and I'm just going to stamp it there. And to make the bauble look as if it's attached to the tree, I'm just going to take a fine line marker pen and just do a little loop on the top of that branch so it looks as if it's attached. Those techniques that I've just shared with you are exactly how all of these elements in these tags were made. Obviously this is quite a crowded tag because we've put all of those different techniques on there, but I hope that was useful and I hope you give it a go. Now I'll say thank you very much for watching. As always, I appreciate your time. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I'm going to leave you with some close-ups of the tags that I've made today and the card as well, and I'll also leave you with a little music. I'll see you next time.